Okay, you guys, today I'm here with Josh. He is the director here at Westbound Youth for Christ. And our audience that we're talking to today is Western Washington University students that are in the human services field. The purpose of this interview is just to talk a little bit about what YFC does and who they are as an organization, and what you can do, for internship possibilities here. So I will let Josh, you can introduce yourself and talk about your role here, and maybe just Youth for Christ as a whole.
Yeah, so Youth for Christ is, in our community, 30 years old. We were founded in 1982. My role as executive director on the team is to guide the vision of the organization, work alongside the board of directors to implement policy, to run the organization, to start new programs. I hire our staff and supervise our staff, and I raise money, and then my role is to do community relations. And so I spend a lot of my time in the community talking about what Youth for Christ does and our role and how we fit into the fabric of our community here locally. So we have several main programs, from programs that go on school campuses to meet with kids, to low-income neighborhoods, to foster care, programs that we are doing to reach targeted populations throughout Kitsap County that we would define as high-risk or at-risk populations.
Awesome. Okay, so I'm just going to give a quick rundown on each of the different ministries that we do here, and then let Josh elaborate about each one. So we have Campus Life, which I learned started in 1965. The goal for Campus Life is to combine healthy relationships with creative programs to help young people make good choices, establish a solid foundation for life, and positively impact their schools. Like every ministry of YFC, Campus Life seeks to engage these young people, wherever they are found, as lifelong followers of Jesus Christ. Campus Life encourages a balanced life mentally, physically, spiritually, and socially.
Yeah.
So, paint a picture. What does that look like?
Yeah, so Campus Life means that we have people that are assigned to different junior high and senior high schools in our community. It looks like somebody like myself who goes on campus and volunteers and just builds relationships with students. So it might be that we're a lunchroom monitor. We might help clean tables at lunch. We might coach a sport or help do an after-school club on a campus. And so our desire is to just build healthy relationships with students. It tends to be that the students we attract and interact with on school campuses are the ones that the administration of the school also has challenges with in learning. So we work alongside the administration to bring healthy adult mentors alongside the young people in their school that are struggling. So we lead an anti-bullying workshop on most of the school campuses that we're in. It's a evidence-based national curriculum. Takes 2 days to go through, and we lead 8th grade students and 10th grade students through this entire program. And it really is about how to build a healthy culture on your school campus where nobody feels bullied. We tend to attract kids who are addicted to alcohol or drugs or tobacco, and so we end up spending a lot of our time counseling those students and talking with those students about what are the underlying things that drive them to participate in those type of unhealthy activities. It's not, we would all probably agree it's not good for a 9th grader to drink regularly or at all. However, in our community, we have about 30% of our 9th graders would say that in the last 30 days that they have used alcohol. And so we want to uncover the reasons that those 9th graders are running to alcohol as something to deal with the pain in their life, or whether they cut themselves to deal with pain in their life. What is the underlying reason that's there? And so we do a lot of our time counseling students and listening to students, hearing their stories, figuring out what's going on in their life, and then walking alongside them. Our goal is that we are a part of building healthy communities on all the school campuses, middle and high school campuses in our community.
It's a lot of work.
Yeah, it is a lot of work. Yeah, and it's fun too. So they do fun clubs. They do an after-school club that's interactive and goofy, and they play fun games. They just get to know kids. Yeah. And then they do more serious small groups where they talk about respect and relationship and life and just what does it look like to be a student in today's world, and how do we come alongside them in that process.
All right, well, next up we have City Life. City Life's vision is to empower urban youth to change their community. City Life is devoted to pursuing relationships with hurting kids, youth, and families in our communities. They work, by doing this by sports, right? Teaching sports in the schools and giving tutoring services.
So
counseling, is that?
Yeah, so probably not formal counseling, but definitely mentorship. And so what that looks like in our community here, specifically West Bremerton, it's the lowest income part of our community. There's more at-risk kids in Bremerton than there are anywhere else in our county combined. So we have a building that we purchased in West Bremerton. We also run a club on the high school campus in West Bremerton, and so they partner very close together. We have memorandums of understanding signed with both of the low-income housing districts in our community that say, hey, we know that you have low-income housing centers where people live, and we know in those they tend to be highly single-parent households, a lot of people who don't have high school educations who are the head of the household. And so how do we come alongside students that are growing up in that environment? And I would say, how do we help them dream? What does it look like to let a kid picture hope and opportunity and dream in their life? And so we come alongside and do that. A lot of how that has started for us is we get boys who play basketball. Tons of kids like basketball. We started a basketball team of kids from the low-income housing district who oftentimes don't play for their school team because they don't have transportation home after a practice or after a game, and so the school doesn't provide transportation home, and so that just means these kids don't get to play. In our community, the city bus doesn't run after 7 p.m. So if you have a game that gets over at 8 p.m., you're stuck at the high school unless you have a friend or somebody who can take you home. Most of them are too embarrassed to say to one of their friends, hey, will you take me home to my low-income housing? And so we started running a shuttle bus home. So we help coach the sport, but then we also have a van where we just take kids home. And that coaching a sport and investing in people's lives in that realm builds an incredible relationship. We would all know that coaches that we've had in our life tend to be people we trust the most, we listen to the most, that they can talk to us in ways that other people can't. They can tell us to knock something off, shape up, do something different. So we use that environment. But we also do tutoring with kids. We come alongside and help them with their math. We unpack their backpack and help them finish their homework. Most kids, one of the reasons they get bad grades is they just don't turn homework in. So we just real practically, let's figure out your homework and turn it in. We take students and we meet with their teachers and we talk about how it's going and what do they need to do to succeed. And then we come alongside them and help succeed in those realms. We teach life skills to West Bremerton youth, which is coming alongside and saying, hey, these kids need to learn how to work. What does it look like? And so we help teach them practical work skills so that they can actually go out and get jobs in the community. So that's a few of the things that we do. Yeah, it's really fun.
Okay, so there's a lot of things we do here. Juvenile justice is an area that I'm interested in, but I honestly don't know much about it here at YFC, what that looks like. So
I can jump in YFC in our community. We have on average only about 10 to 15 kids that are in juvie every night in Kitsap County, but we have over 300 kids that are on probation in our community. And so our community has a ton around prevention, and they utilize probation really heavily. So we have a really active drug court for teenagers and adults. So you have a student who gets in trouble in the community. They may or may not spend time in juvie, but they definitely go to court and they get put on probation, and then their probation officer walks alongside them. So what we're trying to do is have a team of people who come alongside these troubled kids in our community and walk alongside them. So that looks like right now, 2 days a week where we actually go in and we sit down with kids one-on-one and we listen to their story. We just engage with them and we talk with them. We hear what's going on in their life, what led them to be in juvie. And then we try to connect with them outside the center. So because of confidentiality, we can't see a kid in the grocery store and go, hey, I met you in juvie. Right. But we can give them a card that says, we'll buy you a meal anywhere in Kitsap if you call us when you get out. So kids take that card and they call us and say, hey, I'd love to get my free meal. And so then our mentor can pair up with them. Yeah. Probation also encourages kids to come and build a relationship with us. And so then we a couple times a month we go in on a Saturday afternoon, and again we use life skills as an opportunity to invest in young people. So we talk about we have a series of 4 different life skills classes that we rotate through, where we teach these kids just practical life skills, how to live life. A lot of them are repeat offenders in juvie, the ones that we see a lot. A lot of them purposely get put in juvie because it gets them a warm place to sleep and 3 regular meals a day, and they get schooling. And so we actually find kids that will do things in the community in order to get put in juvie because it's safer than being at home. And so it's just an opportunity for us to connect with really tough kids.
And a great door, I imagine, to get them plugged into the other
Oh.
ministries.
Yeah, we plug them into all over the place. So, I mean, kids from every one of our programs end up in juvie, whether it's foster care, campus, city life, and inner city neighborhoods, or parent life, or our program with teen moms. They always end up in juvie. So,
Okay, well, speaking of teen moms, Parent Life is the next up on the list. Parent Life is a holistic, strength-based ministry that educates and empowers pregnant and parenting young people. They utilize education and mentoring to promote positive life changes, resulting in healthier families and with a goal to break down the cycle of teenage pregnancy.
Yeah.
I know we have teen mops,
Mhm.
and then a separate mentoring program.
yeah.
There's like the clothing closet that's
Mhm.
part of that. What else?
Yeah, so what it looks like here is we have about 1,400 teen moms or in our community right now. So on average, about 300 teen moms give birth every year. So the youngest that we have today or have had is 13 years old who has 2 kids. So a lot of us can't even imagine that for our lives. The interesting part about teen pregnancy is that 90% of teen parents are the children of a teen parent. So it is a cycle that tends to continue over and over again. So our goal is, one, to help kids get very good prenatal care. So most teen moms, as a statistic, don't access prenatal care. A lot of it's because they're embarrassed, they're nervous, they don't have family support. So how do we come alongside there? Really what our big goal is we want to give them a community of people that say, we love you. So we understand where you are in life and we still love you. And they are, in a church world, they're the fastest unchurched growing population in America. So you have a ton of people who just feel ostracized by society. They don't feel like they fit. There's often not a place for them in a school. They don't, how do you go to high school when you have a baby? If you don't have parents that are supportive, where do you live? And so a lot of parents get frustrated, get angry. How did this happen to you? Why did this happen to you? Most of them are engaged in a relationship with somebody who's 5 to 10 years older than they are. And yes, we understand it's illegal. Yes, we report it when it's appropriate or when it needs to be reported. But it is the truth. I mean, most of these teen moms are engaged in a relationship with someone way older. So teen mops are kind of the top of the funnel. So we bring them into a fun environment where they get taught skills. They meet women who are successful parents, most of whom were once a teen parent themselves, but have actually done great in life and kind of been able to finish and get their education and get good jobs and raise good children. And so we want to hold them as role models in front of these girls. The second is we want to help take care of their kids. We want to give them a break from their children. So teen moms typically are single parents who mentally, they're a teenager. They're not equipped to necessarily be a mom, but they're forced to grow up fast. And so we want to give them an environment where they get a chance to take a couple-hour break from their kids. So we feed them a meal, we have a speaker come in, we do a craft, we hang out, we have fun, and all the while we're taking care of their kids in a different environment, and their kids are having a blast. So it just gives them a mental break, and that's just super important to being able to kind of get successful. And then, through that time, natural mentorship relationships create, and so you have this teen mom who builds a relationship with a woman who was formerly a teen mom, and they just become friends, and they start to live life alongside one another, so that when that teen mom is angry and frustrated at her child for crying nonstop, or they can't figure out what's going on, or they're worried, they have someone to call. They have someone that can pick up the phone and say, did you go through this, and what did you do? And so a lot of it is just creating an opportunity for questions to be asked. So it's really fun.
Yeah, it's an awesome program.
And then we do give away a lot of stuff: diapers, wipes, books.
Yeah, there's piles always.
Crazy stuff. Yeah, it's fun.
All right, well, we'll get into one of my favorite ministries. We have foster care.
Mm-hmm.
And, I don't need to explain too much about that. Everybody knows the program. YFC is licensed.
Mm-hmm.
They license homes. We have case managers here who work on, with each family. And we have visitation supervisors, which is what I do. And is also an option for internship.
Yeah.
Just give a quick
Totally. So our unique niche is we work alongside the church to recruit families and train them to be foster parents. So we just believe that God says take care of widows and orphans, and so we want to do our job of taking care of orphans. So we go around and we champion the role of foster care in churches, and we say, hey, come alongside us, we'll help you, we'll train you, we'll work alongside you, we'll get you ready to take care of kids. And so right now we have over 50 families who are licensed who want to provide care for children. We specialize in essentially recruiting the family, training the family, licensing the family, and then empowering them to live with foster children in their home and do well. So we do things to build community among those, like we host these big dinners every couple months where we train families and we walk alongside them in that regard. But we also have case managers who are assigned alongside a child to say, we're going to help make sure that that child's case plan with the department is moving forward in a good way, and that our foster parents are doing a good job of supporting the department's case plan. And then a lot of times what ends up happening with our families is about 20% or so of our families will end up adopting a child every year. So this last year, I think we had 10 different adoptions that went through out of 50 families. And so it just tends to be something that when, our first goal is reunification. When reunification isn't possible and the department says we're going to terminate rights, then our next goal would be that we find a permanent home for that child to live in for the rest of their life. And so it's been really fun to see a lot of adoptions take place and a lot of great families who have been created as a result of foster care. So, and then there are, obviously there are internship possibilities all throughout YFC. Foster care is one of the most it's one of the easiest places for people to come and do an internship, because you get the opportunity to learn from licensing to administration to visitation to case management. You get a chance to see all of those different arenas and go to court and see what that's like, and go visit a family in a home visit and see what that's like, and read a home study and see what does it take to write that home study and license a parent. And so it's a great opportunity to learn the world of foster care.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, well, so our last one is independent living services. And I read a really serious statistic that stated that 50% of our entire homeless population in the United States was at one time in foster care.
Yeah.
That's huge.
It's crazy.
Yeah. So ILS is working to help prevent that.
Yeah.
Helping build skills and help them transition from foster care into the world where they're going to be living on their own. So there's a lot to it, but why don't you tell us a little bit more about what YFC does and how that works?
So Independent Living Skills is a unique, it's age 15 to 21 for teenage foster youth. So if you're in foster care one day past your 15th birthday, you have access to Independent Living Skills. So we bring these kids in. Our goal is to essentially from 15 to 18, get them ready to leave the foster care system, and then from 18 to 21 to walk alongside them after they've left the foster care system. And so we know, most of us would know that foster kids who are teenagers in foster care have a hard time being adopted. They have a hard time adjusting. They're typically going to age out in foster care. This is going to be, this is the rest of their life, is going to be known as a foster child. They don't have a healthy relationship with their parents. And so it's a unique population of kids to get ready for life. And so we want to help get them ready for life. So we have really, really defined practices around how do we walk alongside them and help them basically in 4 core areas. So education, employment, permanent housing, and then basic life knowledge. So these youth, many of them, we talk about, why do you shower? Why is it important that you shower and use soap? Why do you brush your teeth? Why do you get a bank account? What does it look like to go to college? How do you fill out an application? So every year we fill out FAFSAs with every single one of our teenage youth who are getting ready to go to college. We help them do their college applications. We help them get their GEDs, and then we find them places to live. So we have actually one person on staff whose only role is to help kids find a place to live after graduating out of foster care, because we want to be the place that doesn't see any one of our youth go homeless after leaving foster care. So with that statistic, we often hear that you can't prevent homelessness. You can't know, we have no way to determine who's going to be homeless. Well, the reality is we know about 50% of who will be homeless. And that is every single person who's been in foster care or currently is in foster care is somebody who's going to be at really high risk of being homeless. So what if we just took care of that 50%? And what if we prevented homelessness in that arena? So that's our goal as a mission, is just to say, let's not have homelessness among our kids. And again, it's another program for us that's really easy to do an internship in. We've had a lot of people who have come to do internships, and so you get to work alongside us as we walk alongside youth and do those processes from employment to education to housing to basic health and safety. How do we walk alongside and prepare a kid to leave foster care and then work alongside them once they've left?
Yeah.
So.
All right, well, that's all the programs in a nutshell. I know that was a lot to take in. You can always go online and look at the Youth for Christ in your area. We have, is it one in Bellingham?
We have one in Seattle, Tacoma, and then the Peninsula, as well as down in Vancouver, over in Spokane. There's 140 different chapters of Youth for Christ around the nation. Not all of them are as involved in human services as we are with foster care, but all of them have a mission to walk alongside at-risk young people in their community. And just, honestly, we're driven by our faith. Our faith is what motivates us and causes us to action, but our mission is way bigger than simply telling kids that Jesus exists, but it's really how do we walk alongside young people in today's day and age and empower them to be leaders, empower them to be agents of change in their community. How do we equip them with skills to live life? So you can go to yfc.net and put in your zip code and find a local chapter near you.
Awesome. Okay, well that's it. Thank you very much for taking your time to do this.
Absolutely.
And hopefully you guys will check it out. And if nothing else, apply for jobs here after graduation.
There you go.